Black Betty, bam-a-lam, ho, Black Betty, bam-a-lam, Black Betty had a baby, bam-a-lam, a damn thing gone crazy, bam-a-lam, she said it weren't none of mine, bam-a-lam, a damn thing gone blind, whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam, whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam, now Betty throw baby, bam-a-lam, jump steady, pretty baby, bam-a-lam, jump down, get around now, bam-a-lam, jump down, get around now, bam-a-lam, whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam, whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam.
Bonjour mes enfants. It's Uncle Dan the Vinyl Man back with another episode of Uncle Dan's Vintage Vinyl. And this is an episode in basically two of my sort of series. One is The Unbearable Cheapness of Dan, and the other series is The Unbearable Wokeness of Dan. Unbearably cheap because I'm using tonight or this evening. It's actually a beautiful evening around 7:30 here where I live and lovely outside. But I'm using an inexpensive turntable. This is an Audio-Technica AT-LP3 that I bought for $50 from a very nice guy, Mr. Sean. I won't use his name, full name, but Mr. Sean M. Sold this to me for $50. It came with a different cartridge on it. It came with an Audio-Technica AT-91R cartridge, which is a very good moving magnet cartridge, conical stylus, but not terribly high-end. I had a head shell from another Audio-Technica turntable with an Audio-Technica AT-VM520EB, an elliptical bonded stylus. It's a significant step up from the conical stylus on the AT-91R, and it's a better motor, as they call it. The body of the 520, VM520 has a better generator inside it. So it's a step up from there. Sounds nice. I think it's an attractive turntable. These you can go out and buy now. It should be all automatic, but when I got it, I think the arm had jostled around a little bit and it was not working automatically. I'm just using it as a semi-automatic turntable anyway. I never, I don't stack it, and it doesn't. I don't have to have it, drop the needle on there, and it turns off at the end just fine. So I've been using it for that. And I'll switch it out for another turntable pretty soon anyway. Very good turntable. You can find these for $200 new. And they're great. I have no problems with them. And this, I think, looks good. Okay, the other part is so that's the unbearable cheapness of Dan. The other part is the unbearable wokeness of Dan. And I've got this nice white turntable, and I've played a little bit. Let's listen to a little bit more of this now.
Lamb, jump down, get around now, bam-a-lam, whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam, whoa, Black Betty, bam-a-lam, Black Betty had a baby, bam-a-lam, his hair gone straight, bam-a-lam, she said it won't be a me, bam-a-lam.
Now, you might be excused for thinking that the vocalist there is an African-American man, but is not. The vocalist is Dave Snaker Ray from the band, kind of loose band, Koerner, Ray, and Koerner, Glover, and Ray here, which came out of Minneapolis, near where I live, and they were out of the folk revival of the early 1960s. I think this was from '63. I've forgotten. I haven't looked at that for a while, but it came out, and they were very, fairly popular at the time. They knew Dylan from before Dylan. Dylan was out of Minnesota, born in Duluth, raised in Hibbing, not far north of me. Raised in Hibbing, and attended the University of Minnesota and met some of the local folkies, among them these three gentlemen. Spider John Koerner, Tony Little Son Glover, and Dave Snaker Ray. So he got to know them, and they got to know him. So they're among that group. And these guys were performing a lot of blues-influenced or blues songs, and this was a field holler. This is Black Betty, which was a field holler recorded initially by Leadbelly, Hootie Ledbetter, better known as Leadbelly. And on the back here on the liner notes, it notes, Black Betty was learned by Dave from a Leadbelly record. It's a fast, unaccompanied field holler. The performance is powerful. Would that more city singers would venture into these unaccompanied waters. Here, we get down here. This is one quotation. There's some quotations about the prior album. This is lots more Blues Rags and Hollers. They'd released Blues Rags and Hollers earlier. So some of the things said about the first album. The memorable thing about this is its real understanding of Negro, musical styles and intonations that surpasses anything previously achieved by white blues singers. It seems nearly unbelievable that any white musician could come so close to the sound of Negro performance. The singing of Dave Snaker Ray will undoubtedly help to establish a much higher standard of approach to Negro blues and work songs. And, I am using the word they use there. So, another excellent bluesman. I was astonished by the record. I did not believe it was possible for white singers to come so close to Negro style. And then the performers on Blues Rags and Hollers come closer to a valid new development of the Negro idiom than any white performers previously recorded. This album is a real example of what's known as vocal blackface. That is, white performers trying to sound African American, trying to sound like they are out of the black African American tradition. And it was done in a sense, of course, of respect for, very deep respect, profound respect for the tradition. But it is vocal blackface. It's not much different. I mean, they're not wearing the shoe polish or the burnt cork and grease of, say, an Al Jolson, singing Mammy and that, those, shuddering, shudder-inspiring performances of his, but it's still vocal blackface. Yeah. Dave Snaker Ray there on Black Betty was trying to sound as close to Leadbelly as he could, and he was making money off of it. So these were kind of important. I mean, these guys were very well regarded, and they did influence folks, white folks. But this is vocal blackface, and it certainly now, 60 years later or so, comes off as a very different thing than it did in the early 1960s when these folks were releasing this. I think about this issue some because I play guitar. I learned to play guitar. I took up guitar because I wanted to play like Elmore James and Hound Dog Taylor. And so I am doing a form of guitaristic blackface, and I'm aware of that, and it makes me somewhat uncomfortable. I'm not quite sure what to do about that. Joe Bonamassa on Twitter, I saw recently, was talking. Someone was taking him to task for this, that he was just making money off of a blues idiom. Just as, as Eric Clapton and others have been criticized for that. Of course, Led Zeppelin did that a bunch. Led Zeppelin ripped off blues musicians a bunch and didn't give them credit all the time. Clapton was better about giving them credit, at least. It is possible, at least for white people, to sing blues in an authentically white tradition. And I'll use this as an example. This is Jimmy Rogers, the singing brakeman. who did a lot of blues. Mule Skinner blues, Blue Yodel #1, also known as T for Texas. Those were two. He had a number of blue yodels out. I can't remember what number he reached, but he did perform blues songs, but in an authentically white tradition. White musicians and African American musicians did play together, did perform together. They did know each other's music. And I may talk a bit later about somebody like Charlie Patton or the Mississippi Sheiks. To Charlie Patton, the great Delta blues musician, the Mississippi Sheiks, a very important blues duo from both recorded in the 20s and the 30s, and the Mississippi Sheiks were around for longer than that. But Patton died fairly young. The white musicians, African American musicians, did play together. They knew each other's music, and you could have someone like Rogers who would play it and perform it in his own fashion, just making it his own, and not trying to sound like an African American. And so, I think if you want to play and perform, follow Jimmy Rogers, the singing brakeman. You want to do blues, and not these guys. Very, and back in the day, I'm sure that back in the '60s, that it said, "Hey, this is just old corny country," and these guys, oh man, they're authentic, but they're not. They're fake. Anyway, this is Uncle Dan the Vinyl Man, being very woke for you, but it's nice to be awake. It's nice not to sleep. Okay. Anyway, I don't think I'll take you out with the rest of this performance of Black Betty. I'll just say, mes enfants, je dis à vous, au revoir, et aussi, à bientôt.